for joining us for this new supplier induction webinar for library resources, LB284. We will be sending out a copy of this presentation along with an information pack and the links and email addresses mentioned in the coming days. If you have any questions following the presentation, can you please call or email us to discuss, and we'll do our best to assist. My name is Aileen Carroll and I'm the Senior Category Manager who looks after the Library Resources contract at Local Buy. Joining me to present today are my colleagues Liz McFarlane and Ebony Setafano. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce some of our Local Buy team. In the top left corner we have our CEO, Peter Mifsud, Adam Ostowski, our Director and Chief Legal Officer, myself, our contracts team, Ebony, Sarah and Erin, and on the bottom line we have Liz McFarlane. Liz is the Customer Relationship Manager, responsible for Southern Queensland and Tasmania. Audrey Devell, another of our CRMs. Audrey's based in Cairns and looks after the North Queensland region and Northern Territory. And Letitia Reid. Letitia is our CRM who looks after Central Queensland region. I'd like to start by giving you a brief overview of Local Buy. Then we'll look at procurement thresholds, the legislation, the value of using Local Buy contracts for both purchasers and suppliers, a little bit of contract information, and then how purchasers can engage with suppliers and your obligations as a supplier. I'll then hand over to Ebony, who will talk to you about monthly reporting, and then Liz will go through vendor panel and how to market yourself and do business with purchasers. Local Buy is a profit for purpose organisation, and we are owned by the Local Government Association of Queensland, or the LGAQ. Any profits that we make go back to the LGAQ and are used to benefit its members, these being Queensland councils. This contract also includes the Northern Territory, so the contract management fee is shared with LGANT, the Local Government Association of Northern Territory. Who is our client base? We have all 77 Queensland councils, regional organisation of councils, better known as ROCs, government-owned corporations, GOCs, state government departments, agencies and statutory authorities, water and port authorities, charities and not-for-profit organisations, universities and schools, Northern Territory councils, and large privately owned corporate entities who have been approved to use the contracts. In addition to establishing contract panel arrangements, Local Buy also provides other services, including procurement consulting services, probity advisory service, and next-gen services. If you would like to know anything more about Local Buy's other services, please view our website, and the link to that will be sent through on this presentation. And a little bit about the Queensland Public Libraries Association, the QPLA. Local Buy and the QPLA have a signed Memorandum of Understanding for the purposes of continuing combined support for Queensland Public Libraries. The MOU outlines the agreement to pay annually 25% of the contract management fee collected from sales driven by purchases through the LB284 panel arrangement. A portion of the payment is utilised for professional development activities that enhance and promote the values of the organisation. Some information around the thresholds for procuring for Queensland councils. It's been estimated that the average cost for a council to establish a tender is $20,000. Legislation requires that for any purchases over $200,000, councils must run a full tender process. That $200,000 is the cumulative spend. For example, a council may only issue a purchase order for goods or services for the value of $1,000. However, if they issue this 200 times for the same goods and services, then they are required to have a tender arrangement in place to be compliant with legislation. For purchases between $15,000 and $200,000, councils usually require 3 written quotes. Each council will also have their own council procurement policies in place that they also have to abide by. So how does local buy assist councils in complying with legislation pertaining to their purchasing activities? Section 234 of the Local Government Act and Regulation allows councils to enter into contract arrangements without the requirements of obtaining written quotes or going out to tender if they are using an LGA arrangement entered into by a company whose only shareholder is the LGAQ, of which local buy is. They can do this because the local government arrangements have already met the legislative requirements for procurement thresholds for Queensland councils. All purchases must, however, state the local buy contract number, that is LB284, when requesting quotes or issuing purchase orders under a local buy arrangement. Councils can purchase products and services through local buy and satisfy the requirements of their internal procurement policies based on the 5 sound contracting principles that are outlined in the regulations. They are value for money, open and effective competition, the development of competitive local business and industry, environmental protection, and ethical behaviour and fair dealing. So how does participating in a local buy arrangement offer value for purchasers? They can be assured that the arrangement complies with the legislative requirements they are required to meet. A maximum price for goods or services has already been established. Purchasers can then negotiate with suppliers on their individual needs. There is no need to tender, thereby saving time and resources. It speeds up engagement with suppliers as they can issue request for quote or purchase orders immediately. It gives purchasers time and money, remembering it costs approximately $20,000 to establish a tender. Purchasers can be assured that they are engaging reputable suppliers that have already undergone the required business and financial checks. So how does participating in a local buy arrangement offer value to you, our suppliers? It saves you time, money and resources by not having to respond to multiple tenders for multiple purchases. It speeds up engagement. Purchasers can issue RFQs or purchase orders directly. Suppliers only need to respond to the RFQ or purchase order. Councils and other purchasers are looking to use local buy suppliers where possible, and this trend is growing, especially given our current economic circumstances brought about by COVID-19. Purchasers will be able to choose suppliers from the panel that are local to them. As a supplier, you are only responding to RFQs or purchase orders, not a full tender process. As suppliers, you can be assured that the arrangement is compliant with Council's legislative requirements. As local buy is owned by the LGAQ, you can be assured that you are dealing with an organisation that is highly regarded by government. So what are the drivers that would make non-council purchasers use local buy contracts? There may be no government, state government or agency standing offer arrangement in place. They may wish to use a supplier or a category not on a state government SOA. They may want to source a supplier in a particular geographical location. It could be because of emergency situations, floods, fires, or cyclones. Perhaps the pricing is better than their existing arrangement, or maybe they don't have the time or resources to tender themselves. A little bit about the contract information. LB284 contract commenced on the 18th of November, or when you confirmed acceptance of the offer. The contract term is 2 years and it will expire on the 17th of November 2022. There are 2 optional extension periods of up to 12 months each. However, where the contracts are closing or being extended, you will receive a courtesy notification. Pricing discount is fixed for 12 months, after which time suppliers can request an increase by writing to the relevant category manager. Any increase should be capped at a maximum of CPI unless there are extenuating circumstances. The price provided is the maximum that can be charged. Suppliers can offer further discounts to this, and purchasers may also negotiate on price based on their individual requirements or circumstances. The contract management fee is 1%, 0.25% being rebated back to QPLA. Schedule A of the General Conditions of Contract provides the following details about your contract, and you will find Schedule A at the very last page of the GCCs. It will detail the contract number, the contract commencement date, the contract expiry date, the extension periods, the minimum insurance levels, the contract management fee, the annual administration fee, pricing schedule fixed period, and the defined purchases, types of organisations using the contracts. There are 2 ways purchasers will engage with suppliers, either via vendor panel or directly. With engagement through vendor panel, purchasers will issue RFQs through the vendor panel system. The RFQs should clearly indicate the local buy contract number, LB284, that the purchaser is engaging you under. Suppliers can either choose to respond or to decline the RFQ. And this is important. If you decide to decline the RFQ, please respond and provide a reason as to why you are declining. If purchasers issue RFQs and there is no response or no reason provided for declining, history has shown that purchasers will look to use other suppliers in the future. Remember, there are no guarantees that you will receive work just because you are on the panel, although it does improve your chances of doing so. Please make sure that you engage with and market yourself and your services to those councils and other purchasers you are looking to work for. If you respond to an RFQ, the purchaser will evaluate your response and notify you of the outcome through the vendor panel system. They will then issue a purchase order. Please make sure that that purchase order you receive clearly states the relevant local buy number, and if it doesn't, we suggest that you contact the purchaser to confirm. The vendor panel system also has the ability to run reports to summarise the RFQs you have been issued, responded to, been successful in, or declined. These reports can assist you with your monthly reporting and cross-checking with your finance system. The other way purchasers can engage with you is if you are contacted directly by phone or by email. It is preferable that the engagement go through vendor panel, as this way it can be tracked. However, some purchasers may choose to do so directly. If you are contacted directly, please make sure that you confirm if the engagement is through the local buy contract, again with that local buy contract number. And if you receive an RFQ or purchase order by email, please make sure that it is documented. Remember, if in doubt, clarify with the purchaser. You should also set up an internal procedure to ensure that any direct engagement is tracked and reported in your monthly sales returns, which is an obligation under your contract with Local Buy. I'd like now just to touch briefly on your obligations as a supplier for this contract. As we've mentioned, always include the Local Buy contract number on any documentation relating to the contract. Make sure that you comply with the general conditions of contract and the purchaser conditions of contract. Do not charge the contract management fee as a line item in your invoices. This should have been allowed for in the pricing provided with your tender submission. Make sure you complete your monthly sales returns on time and ensure that you pay invoices issued by Local Buy on time. Promote your pre-qualified supplier status, and Liz will provide you with some information on how to do this shortly. Make sure you keep your vendor panel details and compliance documents, that is, insurance certificates of currency, up to date. Notify Local Buy if your company details change, either by way of business mergers, takeovers, or a sale, as a novation process may have to be undertaken. And we can do that for you. You let us know and we will send you the necessary documentation. I'd now like to hand over to my colleague, Ebenezer Setafano, who will talk you through the monthly reporting process.
Thanks, Aileen. So monthly sale returns must be completed through the online portal on the Local Buy website. For those suppliers who are new to Local Buy, your login details for the portal will be emailed to you when the reporting period opens. Please ensure you keep these safe, as we'll just send them through to you the first initial time. The online portal allows for quick and secure submission of your monthly returns. Email reminders will be sent regularly to remind you to submit your return. If you have nothing to report, please submit nil return. This will ensure that you are compliant with the general conditions of contract. This also assists Local Buy to identify and follow up those suppliers who have not submitted their returns. Reporting period opens on the 1st of the month and all returns must be submitted by the 21st of the month. I'm now going to pass over to Liz McFarlane and she'll take you through the last portion of the presentation.
Thanks, Ebony. My name's Liz McFarlane and I'm the Customer Relationship Manager for South Queensland and Tasmania. We're going to talk now about vendor panel versus vendor panel marketplace. Marketplace is not a Local Buy pre-qualified list of suppliers. While some of your businesses may also be listed on Marketplace, unless your business engages under a Local Buy contract number, purchases are not covered by the GCCs of the Local Buy contract or the legislated exception. Marketplace is essentially a yellow pages of suppliers and anyone can be listed and there is no due diligence applied. Using Marketplace is not an exception under the legislation. Vendor panel Marketplace is not Local Buy. So what do purchasers see in vendor panel? The column on the far left will show the contract name and contract number. The middle column shows a number of pre-qualified suppliers under that particular contract. And then the furthest column on your right is a number of documents attached to that contract. For instance, the GCCs, the specifications, the matrix, and any other documentation necessary for that contract. This is what purchasers will see in vendor panel. Hence, we really need you to put a lot of time and effort into preparing this, because this will be the first snapshot that councils possibly get of your business. So the top right-hand corner is where your logo goes. Your business description should include your past and or present dealings with council or similar organisations. So perhaps give a couple of short case studies. So whilst it's great to say you've been in business for 5 years, it's probably more advantageous to say that, you know, currently supplying to Moreton Bay Regional Council or Ipswich City Council, etc., or even mention some of the state government departments or government-owned corporations if you've dealt with them. Really, really important, that primary contact there is the person who's going to respond to RFQs. It's no good putting in your general manager if your general manager is not going to be the person responding to tenders, because that's the name of the person that they will choose. You can also, however, list your colleagues, and also important, specifically if you're supplying to the Northern Territory, that you do actually mention that you might have an office there in the Northern Territory, etc. The additional information you can see there under attachments, you can forward us that additional information on your business that we can attach to this particular page, which might be a capabilities statement, etc. So this is what the landing page looks like, or the home page for Local Buy at the moment. So you can see the various boxes. There's 6 at the moment. So we have our current contracts, vendor panel, there's suppliers, Ebony's favourite, the online reporting. Then we come down to capability and training, and then of course LG tender box. So marketing, what do we do for you? We promote all the contracts in their entirety. The CRMs, or customer relationship managers, interact with clients across Queensland and Northern Territory. There's conference representation at LGAQ, LGMA, IPWIAC and QPLA, etc. There's also editorial in the Council Leader publication, which is distributed by LGAQ to all the councils in Queensland, state and federal members, totalling about 3,000 copies. We collaborate with the Queensland Public Library Association, and of course the Local Buy website supplier list is updated weekly. There's also internal workshops on how we can better assist our suppliers, which will start resuming in the new year. How to market your business to your purchasers. Of course, use the vendor panel profile page, as we mentioned before. That's very, very important. It's a great form of marketing, and we ask that you keep up your compliance documents as well. Raise your profile within the local government sector. Make your company and brand visible to councils, not-for-profits, government-owned corporations, etc. Add the Local Buy and contract number to your email signature block, letterhead, website, etc. Use social media to promote the use of Local Buy with particular customers. So Facebook, LinkedIn, great ways to promote your business. Once again, make sure you link into that Local Buy contract number. And then, of course, network to grow your client base. Supplier marketing. So you can attend networking events or conferences with potential customers. Guest speaking at conferences or events. Make the right connections within councils, local chamber of commerce, industry bodies or associations. Look at webinars where you can have a captive audience. Community engagement is also very important. Sponsor or support a local cause, charity, award or sporting group. And of course, promote good news stories or case study. Once a day, again, these can be done through, say, LinkedIn. For instance, you might be at the opening of the new library in Ipswich City Council. With their permission, ask that you do a little story on that and perhaps include a couple of photos. So make it easy to do business with yourself. No two councils or purchasers operate the same, so sometimes we need to adjust our processes. There needs to be a single point of contact to make it easier. Value the council officers or customers' time. Make an appointment, please don't cold call. Do you link your customer to the Local Buy contract number? For example, in the back of your ERP system, is there somewhere where you can maybe code it as a Local Buy contract or a Queensland local government contract? and also on purchase orders, invoices and statements where you can actually list that number. Does your purchaser issue a blanket purchase order, for instance, rather than purchase orders each time? And make sure that you allow sufficient time for end of year close off. So many councils start actually closing off at the beginning of May. So just get to know and ask some of those questions. And of course, any KPI reporting, key performance indicators, for instance, delivered in full and on time. This could be very helpful for councils and make their life certainly much easier. So thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, please email us at inquiry@localbuy.net.au. I'm just going to hand over to Aileen and she'll give you a few further details.
Thanks, Liz, and thanks, Ebony, for your invaluable information. As I mentioned earlier, we will send you a copy of this presentation and an information pack. The information pack will have the contract logo, a list of customer relationship managers and their details, maps of Queensland and Northern Territory and showing you the various council locations. There'll also be a general contact list of councils, GOCs, state government departments that you may wish to look through and see if there's any of those areas that you'd like to target, and a vendor panel user guide for suppliers. So we hope you take advantage of those marketing pieces of material. And again, as Liz said, if there's anything that we can help you with, we'd very much hope that you will contact us. We look forward to working with you during the term of the contract and hope you have a successful partnership. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.